Good evening and welcome to another Monday Night Live here, live from the Precision Golf Studio in the UK. Thank you for joining us. This is a regular spot that we run on a Monday evening, taking all of your questions, and hopefully we have the answers on anything club fitting and golf coaching. Good week for you? Bit of practice on yesterday.
Bit of practice, yeah. I was planning on playing, and then it was biblical rain on Saturday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then frozen yesterday morning. So I thought I'd come in here and hit some shots because I can. And
you rescued the robot Hoover, I hear.
Right. I sort of went down the side there, went to get myself a coffee, and I suddenly saw on its back eating a charging cable, which it's quite good at doing. So anything on the floor, it kind of gobbles up, and unfortunately cables are part of that. So, yeah.
Let's have a quick roundup on the world of golf. We'd love to hear your views on Anthony Kim. Obviously hit Live Golf for the first time after a 12-year hiatus. He came out with a top and a shank. Not much goodness. Managed to get a birdie in there early in his round after the 4 or 5 holes. Yeah. I think we're all romantics that we'd love him to come out, shoot a low score and take the world by storm. 12 years ago, we were both a little slimmer. I had less grey hair. The world of golf was a little different. It has moved on an incredible amount. It's difficult to get speed at the best of times. I think he did reasonably well with what he had at his disposal. Did you manage to catch up with any of it?
Saw a few highlights here and there, and the shank was one of those. I think there was this thing of Anthony Kim's coming back, won't it be amazing? And I think we all forgot he's had 12 years off from tournament play, and that just showed. It's hard, and to come back from that long out and take on, guys like Joaquin Neiman, who's best player in the world at the moment, I think, and all of those guys, Rahm, it's tough. It's a tough ask.
Big ask.
And first round was playing with was it Cam Smith and Graham McDowell. I think the reality of what actually he was coming back to set in, and fair play to him. But it'd be fascinating to see how he improves through the next few tournaments. But hopefully he can get back and just produce some box office stuff.
Yeah, for sure. As usual, I've got multiple iPads. I've actually got another one. I've got my phone in front of me here. So if you are watching on the Good Golf Coaching YouTube channel, feel free. There's got some questions coming on there. And we've got the Precision Golf tablet as well. So I'll fire the questions at Simon as we go, and I'll answer some from my channel as well. We've got a question that I missed last week. I felt like I was spinning up about 30 discs last week. We had so many questions, which we absolutely loved.
Great.
Thank you so much. So we wanted to start the night off with Cliff Wolf 5494's question. I was fitted by Mark for some ZX5s and have follow-up loft and lie check sorted for May. Everything was great until I got my new glasses, and with the glasses came the shanks. I now address from the toe and stand a little further away, or so I think. I asked whether Simon had ever experienced something similar, and could my stance affect loft and more likely lie? I mean, from my perspective as a golf coach, I've got a really lovely client that I see every Wednesday morning, and he got some new glasses and he got a nasty case of the shanks as well. It took us about 25 balls to realign his area of focus, so it absolutely happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate. I don't have a strong prescription. It's sort of one and a half. So for me, when I first got glasses, it was like the grass was in HD. I suddenly could see everything that much clearer, but it didn't really affect my depth perception. And we've seen plenty of clients who've had laser surgery or had glasses that's or astigmatism. And actually, what happens is when it gets corrected, your perception of distance from the ball will change, and almost certainly that's what's happened for you, Cliff, in that it will change your pitch, your posture, and it may change lie, it might not. It might just be you've just got to find your distance from the ball now that you've got a different prescription on the glasses. So.
As long as you're not standing close to the golf ball after you've made a swing at it, you're winning. So our first question coming in from Paul Dunn this evening. Another shaft question. Could you test an Acra FX in MO or M1 flex, or another senior ladies flex shaft, right up your street this actually, Simon, to try and create an auto flex alternative. I've heard it works for fast swings also.
So the M0 Acra, they ran out of stock. We requested one second half of last year, and they hadn't had any since then. But we'll get something. We can go. We've got the TPT, the very lightweight TPTs that the long drive guys are using. That's very similar, softer flex to the auto flex. Actually got a 39 gram airburst that we could use. Well,
why don't you go and run and chop that, and I'll answer a little coaching question here. Matt Moore from the Good Coaching channel. I have a question. Is the timing of the swinging phase different for each club? Do you swing the club earlier with a 3-iron as opposed to a 9-iron? How about driver? Love the channel. Thanks very much, Matt. So if you are not a follower of my channel, first of all, why not? Secondly, I talk about the pull phase and the swing phase in golf. We've got to understand that these two levers, this is a 9-iron, this is a 2-iron, these are two different length golf clubs, and so therefore when we swing them back, the pitch and plane of the swing is slightly different because of the shaft angle at address. But ultimately, when we are pulling on the golf club, and if you don't believe you're not pulling on the golf club, you're kidding yourself, because you're holding it and it is up in the air, so you are absolutely pulling on it. Some pull harder than others, just depends on the different load characteristics of your swing. But down at the bottom, I always talk about how the braking mechanism of the handle and the swinging moment of the club itself. And you're absolutely right. Depending on the length of the golf club, whether you're swinging a 9-iron compared to a 3-iron compared to a driver, you will want to feel like the club swings earlier or transitions from the pull to the swing phase with a 3-iron as you would do over a 9-iron. With a 9-iron and a wedge, you have more of an opportunity to keep pulling because you can trap it a bit more, which would make you hit it down a bit more, because you've got so much more loft. If you were to do that with a 3-iron and you kept on pulling it, you would end up with so much angle of attack because the lever arm is longer and you'd have no ball flight at all. So that swing phase is absolutely happening earlier in a downswing with a driver and a 3-wood and a long iron than it would be with a 9-iron. Hopefully that makes sense to you.
So what was the purpose of hitting this?
I think the question was that Paul would like to know, could you test the Acra FX? I've heard it works, it will create an auto flex alternative.
Okay, so
So
yeah,
do you want to maybe explain to the folks at home that don't know what the AutoFlex is?
Yeah,
what
so
I'm really asking is, for my purpose,
so
what does the AutoFlex do?
The AutoFlex is, I'll grab it in a minute. It's the pink shaft up on the wall. So AutoFlex launched a few years back, and it's a lightweight, very soft flex shaft, slightly counterbalanced, slightly higher balance point. Got lots of coverage during COVID. Lots of bored men sat at their computer, going to buy an expensive pink shaft. And it has the words...
Buying or playing?
Buying.
Buying.
And playing them for a short time and then working out it probably didn't work. But actually, no, it suits a certain swing style.
It's not very expensive, this, is it?
Well, it's less dear than it used to be. They used to be sort of £750, and that's about 600, 650. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's good grade materials to get it that soft and not to fail.
Why is it so heavy in the butt?
Because the grip. Because the grip weighs the same amount as the shaft.
Of course it does.
So what I've done is gone to an even lighter shaft, a 39 gram Acra Airburst Cobalt. So this one, the shaft is lighter than the grip.
Wow.
So when you go very soft, what happens is the shaft, as it recovers...
Still talking about a golf club now.
Yep. The shaft recovers a little bit more and kicks underneath. So you tend to get higher launch and spin, or certainly higher spin. So what most of the time happened with the AutoFlex is you needed a low spin head or a lower loft head than you'd normally play to stop it ballooning.
Right. So you've got a super soft shaft.
Super soft,
super
light
soft,
shaft.
super light.
And I'm going to have to swing it differently than I normally would, otherwise it's going heavy left.
Okay. I like the sound of this. I think I might blow off the cobwebs and have a little thwack of this myself, actually. So what are you expecting this to feel like for you?
loose. So the moment, because I'm used to playing a stiffer feeling shaft, because historically I've needed lower spin, so I've always tended to add a little bit loft, add a bit of spin, so I've always gone a stiffer profile, so lower torque, stiffer tip, so everything's felt firmer. And a lot of what happens with flex is we react to how it feels. So the moment you start down and feel that shaft load and bend, then you tend to back out of it. So it's trying to kind of swing through that softness.
Right, which is not easy to do.
Which is not easy. And also this is 25 odd grams lighter than what I play.
Yeah, so. I mean, it's
Same
not
head
off.
though.
Yeah.
You won't like this, it's 8 degree.
Oh, goodness me, what have you done that for? I'm not hitting that. I hate looking down at no loft.
A little low on the face. So what tends to happen is, again, you lose a bit of the, for me at this weight, I lose a little bit of a feel for it. So I kind of gets away from me halfway down. So low on the face has created a bit of spin. Let's see if I can.
We've been called Wallace and Gromit, by the way.
I'll take that. More cheese.
Yeah. But
yeah, so relative to where I would normally flight it, that's a higher launch. Now, because I've struck a little higher on the face, where the shaft's kind of loaded and recovered that way more, it's got underneath it, caught it higher in the face, popped it up, but actually hasn't spun too badly. But that will feel like a proverbial fishing rod.
Oh my goodness.
But bear in mind, this is 39 grams, so
wow.
Don't go hell for leather with
Oh,
it.
right, okay, right,
Yeah.
because it could snap still.
It shouldn't do, but it's...
Got it, okay. Live.
It's not necessarily designed for us to hit
for us
full
hitting,
pelt.
right, okay. Live on the tube. Nobody's ever said to me, go slow before. Do you know what? I quite like that, Phil.
So there's a lot of kind of, it gives a lot of feedback and sensation, but actually, so for most players, the problem is we're used to
pulling,
not used to feeling that much movement, so it's a little bit disconcerting.
I quite like the feel. It's a great little training, maybe not down the right-hand wing, but let me have a little, I quite like the feel of that. Quite like the feel of that. So this is a similar sensation as the Autoflex?
I mean, the Autoflex will be a little less loose than this because it's a little heavier. But that's the sort of the kind of comparison point.
Oh yeah, but it does feel like it's all a little bit.
And yeah, so if you take it to the extreme, then it's hard to actually for the player to control it because you're kind of second guessing what's going on. So when you get a feel and a weight that suits the player, you just carry on swinging and going with it. The moment it goes away from something that you trust, you're going to back off of it, and then it goes all over the place.
Very good. Matt Batchelor, hi Stu. Unfortunately, I can't tune in live this week, but do you have any tips on how to stop toe strikes when chipping and pitching?
Ooh, short game.
Short game.
We all need a bit of help with that.
Short game, short game. Well, of course, you get a heavier golf club, and as soon as you start to get closer to the target, it's so easy for golfers to make the handle feel like it travels straight. And of course, if we make the handle travel straight, can you see how it opens the face up, but also can you see how it sucks the club head in? And so when it sucks the club head in and the handle rises up, that's where you'll always tend to get a bit of a toe strike. So really all of a sudden feeling like you can make the handle move more left will actually give you the opportunity of keeping the club head out in front rather than handle up into the target, club head comes in and opens. So actually you really want to feel like you can use your right shoulder and left heel when you're chipping, so that even though it's on a small little shot, when you're finishing, having some pressure back in that left heel to feel like you can get your right shoulder a little bit lower, that gets the handle down, as opposed to thinking about hitting in a straight line, getting a little bit on the toe and getting a bit high up with the handle. So you can actually feel like you've got some forward bend, low handle, and can you see from the camera there, my handle's disappeared on the inside and the club head is over here. So this pressure down with the handle gets the club head kicked out and we'll get the strike a little bit more towards the toe.
Very good.
There you go. There you go.
We all like a bit of help with the short game.
Yeah, that's. I think when you get older, that's when
You've experienced more.
Well, there's a few things, isn't there? I mean, you go away on these golf trips, you have a lemonade, and then with vodka in it, and then in the morning, you have the heebie-jeebies, don't you? You have a little bit of
Well, then you're like Cliff, where you don't know how far away from the ball you are as well. And there are also different grasses as well. That's, yes,
sure,
I think it gets us overthinking.
Yeah,
Things too much fun. Just go back to basics. Keep it simple.
And it doesn't take too many bad chip shots to make you feel a little bit on the negative side.
That one.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. I'm feeling a little under the pump here. We've got lots of questions coming, so we need to be stealthy with these answers. Yep. Kevin T. Evening. Did you get my question from last week? Fitting aside and outside. Probably the question
inside and outside. So actually, we fit inside because you're not being influenced by all the external things like wind, bad light, but also the golfer. In a fitting, we don't want you reacting to ball flight. We want you just to swing, which is actually why indoors players don't react as quickly to a visualization of flight as they will the actual ball flight. We want you to just swing, and then we can make the club work for that. So the data's that good now that it's as effective indoors as outdoors.
Very good, very good. Radhika, I've just seen Radhika. Hi guys, how many balls has Simon hit today?
Big fat 0, apart from those ones with the driver there. Stiff from practicing yesterday.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Glenn 400. I've recently started using a 5-wood Titleist 909 F2 with Matrix Ozic XCon 6.
Don't worry.
Loving the feel. Soft shaft launches high. Are there any current comparisons for modern day 5-wood similar shafts? Cheese.
Yeah,
I think he meant cheers.
Cheese. So it could be the Wallace and Gromit thing. So yeah, it's not solely restricted to that shaft. You get anything that's a sort of 66, 67 gram shaft, a little bit of tip response. As long as it's not a overly low torque shaft, then you're going to get that feeling of responsiveness and kickback. So there are actually plenty out there. You take something like VA Composites do the Villain 65, and that's a softer tip, quite a jazzy look as well. IZ6, graphite design, something like that. There are plenty that are going to give you that kind of responsiveness and a feedback. So it's not just that shaft. The head will feel a bit different to the current ones as well, though.
Very good. Milts to the max ask, what are your thoughts on swinging your swing? Well, it depends what your swing is. I mean, if your swing is a shank or your swing is a duck hook, I wouldn't go with swing your swing. But I think the question is, how far do you want to push change? Again, that very much goes down to age, what you're aspiring to be, and how much time you got on your hands to apply the changes. So I think absolutely swing your swing if you are long in the tooth, got barely any time, you want to go out and play. But if you're an 18-year-old looking to get onto tour and you've got a set of principles in your game that are probably going to be a hurdle, then I think it's worth the change. So it's different for all, and I think that's the flexibility and the mobility of a golf coach to be able to adapt to the golfer and what they require. So yeah, swing their swing. Again, if it fits, I think that's the biggie for me. Daryl Carpenter asks, hi, I thought he'd ask a question over there as well. Hi chaps, loving the channels and these live shows. Thank you so much, Daryl. Stu, always struggled with overswing leading to bounce back, casting, flicking and early extension. Any drills for working on shortening the swing? Yes, I can give you that. I mean, an overswing, and I've covered this in a I think I might have actually live before last. Overswings usually come from the fact that your leg action on your lower half is not working right. Often we've thought about how we move to the side in a golf swing. We move too laterally, lower half gets a little bit short, rotation gets a little short, and then we start to get long with our arms, because ultimately if your arms and your chest matched up and you're only making 70% of shoulder turn, you're not going to make a short backswing, you're going to overrun. So really, and it's something I say a lot, if you're looking to shorten your swing, you need to feel like when you do shorten it, it still feels powerful. So if you're taking out arm overrun, you need to put in some more body turn. So a classic overswing would look lateral with the lower half and arms overrun. Well, of course, if I don't increase my body turn and then bring my arms back, I won't feel like I've made a big swing. So my advice to you would be to do some back swings, step to the left in your backswing. And the reason why I ask you to step to the left, it really allows that right hip to open up. Now you start to feel your chest a bit more open. Then what you can do is take the golf club in two hands, lock out both your arms, step to the left. Now all of a sudden you start to feel how there's unity between your arms and your chest. Now grip the golf club, and all of a sudden you've got yourself a much bigger rotation with your lower half and upper half, and you've got some arms that are a bit more synced up with your upper body. So that would be a great little drill. Two arms straight, step to the left, make some back swings, and then grip.
Back to line dancing again.
I know. My sister said, "Is there any line dancing this week?" And no requests yet.
There was one question I think I saw earlier on that I did with Miss Bazay about the reverse tape putter grips.
Oh yes. Did I ever?
What do we think about that? Ultimately, it's
I
gotta
love
be,
turtle.
Yeah.
I can't believe I missed out. I love turtle.
Man, we now know.
Yes, I know.
Turtle has been revealed. Turtle revealed himself to me the other week.
The turtle revealed his head.
Yes. So from a grip point of view, ultimately it's got to be comfortable. I think there have been a lot of the grips that have gone too big and actually cut out a bit of feel. And so what the principle of the reverse taper, where it goes broader in the bottom hands, it doesn't get too big in the top hand, which allows that top hand to swing. But then really it's about feeling like that bottom hand stays stable and doesn't overpower and work the club face. So ultimately, if it's comfortable, great. That's the most important thing.
Super stuff. Christian Diamond, hi gents. What benefits do graphite iron shafts offer over steel for mid to high speed players? Christian.
So Christian, I believe I'm seeing you in a few weeks' time. So a graphite shaft, really, you can go lighter in graphite than steel and keep some structural strength because there are more layers, there's more wall thickness. So functionally, you'd go to graphite versus steel because you're trying to go lighter. So if that suits the player to help generate some speed and keep the timing, that's why you would use one versus the other. It's purely for that.
Andy Corso asked, did we get a deal on our 2 haircuts? He actually says, job lot on the hairdos, chaps.
I didn't. Sadly, you must have got the reduced price. I had to pay full whack.
Yeah, well, looking on the screen, I'm so great. It's very disappointing.
Distinguished.
David Bass asks, hi, what are your thoughts on Jumbo Max grips? I hate them. I enjoy them because impact doesn't hurt my wrists, but I'm wondering if I'm giving up something with them or if I'm making a good grip harder. Certainly making a good grip harder. If it helps with pain, absolutely stick with them. But you do reduce your opportunity to set the golf club, and if you haven't got set, you lose some leverage in the golf swing. So that would be my thoughts on it from a coaching perspective. What are your thoughts on a fitting perspective?
From a fitting perspective, I mean, the weights of the grips vary massively. So there are some which are 120 grams, which is actually as heavy as the heaviest steel shaft, which is ludicrous. But there are some that are as light as 39 grams. So in the ultralight series, if you want to go bigger than standard, bigger than a standard grip, go up to a mid-size or even a jumbo, into the traditional terminology, you can get there with a lighter weight with some of them. So that's where they do have a usage from a fitting point of view, but they're really geared for basically for Bryson, and they can get very heavy, very big, very quickly.
I think we've got a contender for the latest, best YouTube handle, Sash Man Swag.
Very good.
That's
Very
decent.
good.
If you could let us know what that is all about, that would be
hopefully
really...
Hopefully sat there wearing sunglasses as we speak.
Yes. Hola. Looking booked in a fitting with you guys. Oh, he's coming down as well.
Awesome.
Have P760s in the bag, but want to move to an iron head with slightly more forgiveness, but without loads of offset or a thick top line. Any recommendations?
Obviously, we'll test what works when you come down, but head like the T150. possibly the 245 Mizuno, some supply issues currently at the moment with that, but yeah, the T150 Titleist, there are more heads now that do less offset and a bit more forgiveness than there have ever been, especially keeping a thinner top line. So, but yeah, the first one to jump into mind would be the T150 Titleist.
Please let us know how that handle came about, because that's fascinating. RW Golf, would the thoughts for toe hits during chipping also help with longer clubs and maintaining a posture? Absolutely. I released a video today. All you need is this, something like that on the thumbnail. Go check that out. That will absolutely fix any toe strikes in a full swing. That would definitely help you. Gareth L. Hi, does grip size have an influence on shot shape? Thanks, guys. Not awfully.
Not particularly, no. It's a bit like reputting. People say, oh, if you miss it, if you over rotate it, go bigger. Not necessarily. If you get the wrong grip size, you're going to have to hold on. You have to increase your grip pressure to stop it moving in your hands. So actually, it's more about grip pressure, and then that allowing your hands to, the right size allows your hands to relax. That allows you freedom in the swing, allows you to generate speed, because the moment you grip tight, it locks up around here. So it's not necessarily about shot shape.
Very much so. Very much so. Dan Brett asks, hi guys, please can you confirm the process post new club builds? Is a gap test included on collection? Cheers.
Yeah, I mean, what we generally advise is play with them for a few rounds first, because if you do a gapping when you come and pick them up, some of the problems can be that you haven't really given them any time to bed in. It's the first time you hit them. So we would advise, if you're able to, play a few times with them and then do one, because then that gives us a chance to play them on course and go, actually, I find the gap between, let's say, pitch wedge and gap wedge a little bigger than I want, or a little less than I want, and then we can look at the numbers, look at the data, and make adjustments based on what you're seeing in play. Because sometimes that first time you hit them can be, it's mainly representative, but it can not show up what you find on the course as you play them in over half a dozen rounds or so. I hope that made sense.
DSC 6072 asks, what are your thoughts on using speed sticks sort of training? We've had this a few times on the channel. It's the equivalent to going in a gym for the first time and then swinging a kettlebell around like a lunatic. Be so careful doing overspeed training. Get checked out by a TPI guy or girl just to get some screening and warm yourself up at the very least. Don't go too hard at it. Start at the low reps, low weight stage, and build your way up gradually. The last thing you want to do is being in a situation where the straw that broke the camel's back, that you just did a little bit too much and then you put your back out at the start of the season. So I'd go really steady with that. Seek the advice of a golf pro that you're having coaching off of, rather than just buying them and then start swinging like a whirling dervish. So yeah, go steady with that would be my advice. Have you experienced the speed sticks?
I've not used them personally, but I've seen people who've had good results with them, or the various kind of variants around it. But yeah, there are a couple that do it with, well, they all do it with a form of program and follow that. But yeah, so don't go hell for leather straight away, because you'll probably hurt yourself.
Yeah, very much so. Glenn 400, hi, question for Stuart. Recently been feeling steep with wedges and it's causing shanks, good times, and divots going left with the heel coming through. I assume open face. Any good drills? So with pitching,
all learn from this one.
Yeah. With pitching, I think we've got all too caught up in the fact of taking divots and spin and all that kind of thing. And so because the shaft is short and we can get away with a lot of handle pull, and we have come from an era where we all believe that we need to stand open to try and get ourselves through the shot, we end up really dragging on the golf club. So a great drill for you is to just take the golf club in your left hand, and you almost want to feel like there's a line with your left leg, and actually start to feel how the golf club can start to unload. Because when you start to unload the golf club, you actually start to fulfill the arc and the radius of a golf club and a swing. So it feels like the club is actually going to swing further away from you, which would be fearful for any shanker. But actually a shank comes from a golfer being too narrow in the arc because the club head feels that it's too far away from the golf ball. And then they drive the handle out to the right, hitting it out the shank and leading with the handle. So the minute you then actually start to expand the radius, so if you were to get the club head just inside the golf ball and you started to feel like the club head swung away, it would actually start to encourage you to feel a little bit more on your heels, get the handle a little bit closer to you, because you can now feel how the club's widening. The worst thing you can ever do is narrowing the arc and pulling too much on the way down. So just a little left arm swing, just allow the golf club handle to be overtaken by the head. It seems counterintuitive because the last thing you want to do is actually feel like you're almost going to fat it, but actually what you'll do is you'll start to line the handle and the head up, which will actually start to get the sweet spot a little bit more lined up with the golf ball, because it will make it feel like, as I say, the radius is a little bit wider. Hopefully that helps.
It's the thing with this game, it's completely counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
It is, every instinct tells you to do one thing.
Very much
but then actually
yeah. I mean,
do the other.
And again, as soon as we start getting closer to the target, we start playing even more so super straight. And because you don't actually see the deviation and the bend in the ball with a wedge, of course, because we've got so much loft, you don't think you're either too much from the in or too much slice. So I'd really go steady with going at the target. It's always a bit.
I see many more players doing wedge fittings where they're heavily into out and closing the face than out to in. Many more.
Yeah. Very rare you get a super outside in with a wedge. Very rare. Paul Jennings, hi Stuart. You recently helped me with my shots going right. Paul, I think the tap that I did a video of on my channel, I believe. You set me up with new grip, can't get the right amount of pressure on the right hand now, lose feel and connection on my backswing. Any advice? So Paul had a super strong right hand, and when you've got a super strong right hand, it hoods the club face down, and we've gone to a place where everybody's, you must see it in the bay, super strong grips, right? I mean, it's gone from getting there, maybe
more that way.
I think it's
people trying to bow their wrists.
And I think it's quite interesting. I think it's going to be interesting as we move forwards. You know, people that come for a fitting don't necessarily spend time and money on their golf swing with coaching and that kind of thing. So it's interesting that you don't see that, but I see way more people in my bay with a super strong grip and then they follow it up with a super strong right hand.
Yeah, I've not seen that much of it, the odd one.
And then what you end up with is, because it's so strong, any opportunity of turning through it and around, the golf ball is going so far left. And so what Paul was doing is...
Especially with the two on.
Right. What Paul was doing is, with the right hand is underneath, he would then lift the handle up to offset it to hit it out to the right, and he actually cut across it with what was really strong right hand. So what we got Paul doing was getting his right hand a little bit weaker, getting his right hand a little bit more on top. So really, the only reason why the right hand would be coming away is you're just losing the pressure between the top hand and your thumb. So a good little trick will be, just get yourself a golf glove, lay it between the two and just trap it on there, because that's the pressure that we're looking for between the two hands, and then just make some swings with it. And when you're making some swings, you'll feel the pressure. There's a lot of people that say, I can't have too tight a grip pressure, but your grip pressure would have to be astronomical to have no wrist set at all and no swing. The club's just too heavy and too much momentum. So just get a glove between the two hands and just trap it in there and make some swings, and you'll soon feel those two hands come together and connect.
I think that also highlights where, if you're using your body efficiently, then that also helps you stay connected. So you get armsy, then you're going to get separated. If you're not using the right bits of your body, if it's just hands and arms, then it's going to aim and dance and pick up and separate.
So, good old aim.
And we're seeing you do that shows how that will also encourage just a good general connection.
For sure. Who have we got here? I've just seen a message from my sisters talking about Morris Dancing, but we'll come back to that one later.
You got your bells with you?
Yeah. Mike T, what is the difference between a TPT Power versus Nitro? Can you hit model the long drive guys use?
Yep, so the Power Range was the first one they did, which is the red range, which is designed around a little bit of a softer profile in the mid, then they do a low series, they do a high and a low series in that, and in the Nitro they do the same thing, but the Nitro is designed to be a little lighter but a much more stout feel, so a stiffer profile. So Jason Day's using the Nitro. I will get the lightweight one that the long drive guys use.
If this is a new watch for you, we do this every Monday, 6 p.m. We take all of your questions about anything club fitting and golf coaching and general heckling, banter, whatever you. And we've got James behind there. James always seems to miss out on it. I mean, he's got a lovely pair of pink strides on today, and he's going to get He's got 2 pairs of pink strides on today. I mean, faultless stream as well, the quality, the lease line. I mean, he sits back there smoking his cigar and having a martini like he's not even doing anything, and all we're doing is all the hard yards.
Just chatting, doing Morris dancing.
Exactly.
So this one's the 21 high. So the long drive guys are actually using some of the lightest and softest of the TBT models. Because of the materials and the construction being a kind of a single layer and a single wrap, they're actually torsionally more stable to the torque rating than most other brands, but great quality materials which just holds the head a little bit more stable at impact, and therefore the kind of loads that the long drive guys are putting on these things, the strength and speed. I mean, they're up at 150, 160 mile an hour club speeds.
Same sort of load on your belt?
On my belt.
No, not that
much,
sort of load.
Much heavier. But traditionally, the long drive players would use very stiff, very stout shafts, whereas they're now using the equivalent of a soft regular, which to them would be the equivalent of us using a softer than ladies flex shaft. Yeah. So I think as Mike wants to give it a hit.
Yeah. You'll gladly oblige.
Gladly oblige. Yeah.
Yeah. This will be what, 851 shots you've hit today.
4, I think. So again, this is like the other one. This is structurally, people give it the waggle test or lean it, which is an awful test for flex, but there's a lot of movement in this shaft. But it should stay, if I can time it. See, I struggle when we go lighter. It does hold the face, as you see, relative to a soft flex torquey shaft. That wasn't a great hit, but that stayed, it's awful spin reading, but it stayed very, very straight.
And you're up at 106 there as well.
Well, not bad for
it's not bad for
someone old who hasn't swung today. Yeah, so my problem with this weight is because I do have rotation swing, I flip it. So for me, I might be able to move this a bit quicker than my...
Can we go harder at that, can we? Is this shaft?
These can take a hell of a lot.
Oh, okay, right, okay. Yeah. I won't have to go with that one.
So
come on, let's have a little ego thing. Let's do our best long drive impression. I mean, I've just said about don't do anything to go on. Give us your best. Do you want to have a warm up at it?
Do you want to have a warm up?
Go on. Let's see. Let's give it your all.
I need the long hair and everything for.
Yeah, I know. Give it your all. If we end up on the floor, is that everything? Is that everything?
Okay, 111.
111. Do you want to have another go? Are you happy with that?
I'll take that. I don't want to hurt myself.
111's good. 111's good. I like that. I mean, it's gone not bad. This is. I mean, talk about 2 boys. Come on, Stuart. I mean,
you're in the gym at the moment, aren't you? Look at that.
I'm slower.
Miserably slow.
Yeah, but hang on a second. You've hit 80 shots today, though. I'm going one more. Come on, Stuart.
Don't do the recoil. That might not be good for the show.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was quite good, that one. That one went quite straight, I think.
I think you got me by about half a mile, 1 mile an hour. There you go.
Could we be any similar in speed?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
And yet,
actually, what was the club speed? I think it literally 111.7.
Oh, tell me back in there.
111.1, 6.6 of a mile an hour. Longer levers. Longer
Yeah,
levers.
longer levers. Yeah, blame the levers. Blame the levers. Let me come round there, Simon. Sorry. Well, I just had 30 seconds of childhood stupidity. So Papa B, hello gents. Could you please test a Modus 120 against a Dynamic Gold 120? Okay. I turned 60 recently, and my 7-iron swing speed is 90 miles an hour. Well, that's good speed at 60 years old, sir. So whatever flex you think is right, thanks. While you're doing that, I'm going to jump onto Good Golf Coaching and see what questions we've got in here. Bama number 1, Stuart, the plonker driver drill equals gold. Thank you very much. Glad that's working out for you. Stuart, I changed my grip as you stated, and it has tremendously changed my game. Truly, you are the best instructor on YouTube. Did everyone hear that?
Sorry?
Simon, what is a cheaper equivalent shaft comparable to a Motore F3 60-gram shaft specs?
So one of those, the C6 range, a little bit lighter, the C6 Blue. That's kind of 63.4 grams. The Motore is a little heavier.
I think I've done my backing.
Let's think. Potentially one of the Acras. We're just about to start testing the GX range, but the FX, the 260 would have been pretty similar to that, and that'd be a little bit less. Yeah, one of those two, I would say.
Very good. So,
right, decided to go with Proto Concept head to go on the top of these shafts. So, I'm going to start with the Modus 120. So, I guess we're looking for comparison in launch. So, the one thing that the Modus in the 120 is actually slightly lighter. So, a 120 Modus. The stiffs are 114, the X's are 117, the Dynamic Gold 120 is a 120, but swings heavier in the tip.
Right.
So there we go. So let's see.
That's a pretty sexy looking head, isn't it?
Yeah. It's got a ceramic insert.
That's it.
Yeah. Makes it a slightly more forgiving form of blade.
A few people out there have got bit of ceramic in their hips, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's nice, isn't it? That's a really nice looking club head.
So let's see if I can get it squared off.
88.8 miles an hour.
So that one, 17 launch, 5,000 spin, relatively responsive, the Modus 120. So it's the Modus is softer in the handle, stiffer in the tip. So it's designed to have a bit of feedback through the handle end, but be very stable for dispersion at the tip end. Dynamic Gold 120, a little bit heavier. Should feel a little firmer as a result of that weight. Definitely noticeably heavier in the head end. So if you're someone who is, in theory, is a little more aggressive, has a little bit more kind of drive on the handle, then it partly depends on what you've been playing before, I guess, as to which one might work better. But as a general comparison, this will swing heavier. Definitely a little harder work to get through the ball. And for me, a little bit, a couple of hundred revs lower spin on that particular shot. We'll do one more to get a bit more of a comparison. Yeah, definitely. I think it comes out a bit lower for me because I have to turn it over a bit more, but about a 200 rev, 150 rev difference between them. Firmer feel, slightly heavier swinging in the Dynamic Gold 120.
Very good, very good. Got another 15 minutes to go, so do get those questions coming in to us on either channel and we'll get those answered for you. Mike T, Stuart, what are the pros and cons of an early wrist set versus a late wrist set?
You often hear people ask, what should I be?
Yes, yeah.
But it strikes me that you're naturally one or the other.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because ultimately, I think you get either pullers of the golf club away from the ball, so a handle dragger, or you get someone that moves the club head first. A lot of that will come down to the type of grip that you've got. You tend to see more pullers of the handle with weak grips, more club head pullers away from the golf ball with stronger holds. When you are a stronger or more set away from the golf ball, you'll tend to have a wider backswing. excuse me, a wider downswing, because once you've set the golf club, there's only one way to go, and that is outwards. You tend to see more people when they have late set on the way back, they'll tend to be a downloader. So for me, you'll tend to see, other than a long drive guy, when you're starting to really see these long backswings. If you're looking to gain more traction in your downswing, a bit more lag and load, you're better off sensing less set to more set, so that you can create a bit more swing at the bottom, compared to loads of set will tend to want to make you throw it away. So just be, you know, whatever grip you're hanging out on, adopt to the right set for that grip would be a good way to go.
Yeah. It's obvious when you put it.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. It's a very logical game, but unfortunately, we've somehow fallen into a direction of got so caught up in philosophies and trends that we forget that grip one, get the face right, and then deal with the levers and a bit of footwork. Yeah. So, Klaus Larsen, what are your thoughts on having a 5-wood shaft in your 3-wood? Good question.
Yeah, like a shorter shaft, for a lot of players, easier to strike. I mean, Rory last year had a 44.25-inch driver length. You know, he's gone up to 45 this year. So going shorter, whether it's a driver, 3-wood, 5-wood, you know, absolutely. The one thing you have to take into consideration is head weight. If you just cut the shaft shorter, you could lose a lot of feel for the club head. There's about a 5 gram difference in head weight between a 3-wood and a 5-wood. So if you cut the 3-wood at 5-wood length, the swing rate's going to drop about 3 points. So that's the one thing to be careful of with it.
I Love Turtle says, I appreciate Stu is getting on a bit, and I am. A bit forgetful, but any chance Simon can answer my previous question? So I've just gone back and looked. I thought we answered it. Evening, Wallace and Gromit. Good to meet Simon recently. Any thoughts on the new tapered Golf Pride putter grips?
That was the one I think I kind of mentioned that we didn't necessarily, yeah. So ultimately, it's a feel thing. There's merit to every putter grip that's ever been produced, as long as it feels right in your hands. If you're someone who has a lot of rotation in the stroke, you might feel like a bigger grip's a bit more stable. But then Tiger putted with the pencil thing, ping man grip for years. So there is no best grip out there, but by all means, it's they're not a heavy grip, so give them a try. Or we've got the demos we're going to be putting up in the putter studio. Come and have a swirl around with one and see how it feels.
My sister's in the house. She said, I'm all in for some line dancing or Morris dancing. So when my sister is next over from living in the Netherlands, she's going to come on and give us a little 30-second intro.
She can bring her clogs with her, can't
she? A little bit of Morris dancing for you, coming at you. Yeah, that'd be lovely, Suzanne, if you could do that. Oh, dear me. Florida Flash. Now that's a fantastic handle. Hi, quick keys. Why and how to prevent a blade or chunk on a chip shot? Thanks. Just a quickie to prevent a chip shot, blade or chunk. Well, low point control is your nemesis, my friend. A blade or chunk can come from being too far ahead of it, or obviously being too far behind it. A good place to start is getting your golf ball in line with your left toe of a right-handed golfer, getting your right foot on the toe, and just making some practice swings and hitting some chip shots with the ball in line. What this does is, obviously, if you start moving your top half, I really have done my backing after doing those long drives. If you start moving that upper half to the right or to the left, the club will bottom out and you'll fall over. So it's a really clean exercise just to establish the low point and just get yourself to hit some chip shots just like so, which will really give you an opportunity to start to make a much better contact. And at this point, it will really start to find you out whether you're toppling backwards or toppling forwards, which will change the low point of your golf swing.
Yeah, I think there's also even just I've seen people practice just up with a bit like that, not necessarily kind of foot back as much, but practicing just on one leg, because you've got to be more centered.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the less movement, the better.
Yeah. Low point control is always the killer. I Love Turtle says, thanks, Simon. No problem, but didn't mention me about the abuse I got, but that's all right. We'll let that slide, as he's such a nice man. Alexander Ward, evening, gents. Good evening, Alexander. Do you need a progression in shaft lengths as you go up the bag, or can you cap the length at, say, 5-iron for clubs above that, if that's the longest you feel comfortable with?
The part of the practicality of having a longer shaft is because headweights progress lighter. So in order to keep the feel for the club head and keep the momentum the same to swing and keep the swing weight there, you generally need to go longer. Obviously Cobra do their 1 length, where the hybrids go into 7-iron length. It's pretty hard to get a set that doesn't have to increase in some shape or form. Otherwise, you're literally restricted to some of the lofted hybrids and a driving iron. But yeah, woods you will have to go longer.
DS6072 says those driver swings that we just made were like his speed sticks swings. Yeah, they
irresponsible.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle Millward, do most people play the same swing weight in driver and irons?
So if you're not playing over standard length in your irons, then the one thing we found over the last 20 odd years is that the swing weight of the driver and the 6-iron almost always very, very similar. A physics dean would tell me why from a momentum point of view, but that's something I've seen regularly over the years. So generally your kind of 6-7 iron and driver swing weights do often match, but then we would tend to build in a bit of a progression in swing weight through the irons. So it's not a hard and fast rule that I would stick to, but it's often something that occurs when testing. So there's been a trend over 20 years, so there has to be something to it.
Yeah. Martin Williams, could you test a 5-wood against a 7-wood to see the difference in distance? Does not matter which brand. While Simon squirrels off for that, I'll come back over. Jonathan Barnes, hi Stuart, I'm a little confused with ball position. Does it stay on the inside heel for every club and just move the other foot wider or narrower depending on what club? Read this in Hogan's book. Interesting one, and I think again it's another part of the game that we've got so locked in to thinking that the ball is in one spot because we've lost all understanding of what's going on down at strike. You should never play a golf ball back of your sternum unless it's a real specialist shot, because if you're moving the golf club from the top and you've got some momentum forwards with your body, you would end up with a golf ball too far back from your midline and from your shoulder, because your shoulder is the pivot point of the hand and the golf club. And so as you're starting to turn and open up, can you see how far this hand can go forwards? So I think I always use the left ear. So when you set up to the golf ball, always use the left ear as the furthest back spot from 7-iron down to sand iron, and then progressively move the golf ball moving forwards as you start to get up to the driver on your left heel. And you're looking to have a reduced amount of shaft lean as you go forwards with the golf ball. But a good piece of advice, 7-iron downwards left ear, and then for every golf club go half a ball roll forwards until you end up on your left heel. That would see you right, and it would give you enough room to move forwards. I think playing off your left heel and just moving this foot wide, I think that's too far forwards for my money. That would be my preference. Dare I go against what Mr. Hogan said, but I think there's a whole conversation there with Hogan stuff, but I think that's too far forwards for most golfers. Yep.
Right. 5-wood and 7-wood.
All right.
So let's go 5-wood first.
The production manager was just giving us a little product placement. Yeah, we're not sponsored by Diet Coke.
A couple of 5-woods here. So, so that one there, a little bit ground ball. So get a slightly cleaner hit. Touch lower on the face, but there's a better hit. So, you know, it's probably the mean of the two, about 220, just over 220 carry. I guess in terms of, you get a comparison on height as well, just to put those in there. 107 feet, previous one was 120 feet. If I'm going to switch that to a 7-wood now,
While you're doing that, Michael Barber asks, has Simon ever recommended someone go shorter in shaft length during a fit, and are there any other benefits as well as control?
Yeah, I know it's something that we'd often do when you get into fairway woods. Sometimes driver will build a 3-wood length driver. Really, it's about strikes king when you get to the top end of the bag. That means if you're getting contact, you're getting one stable spin and ball flight, but you're also getting good ball speed. And there are players who just struggle with a longer shaft. It can get dropped behind them, or they can just lose the control and the timing. So really, functionally, it's about squaring the club face up a little bit more easily sometimes, or just getting contact.
I want to say a big thank you to everyone that's tuned in this evening for all of your questions. Do keep them coming in. We're going to do our very best to answer them all. But we really appreciate you taking part in this informative yet light-hearted hour. Thank you so much.
So let's see, right, how high does a 7-wood go? Very is the answer. So
up your schnauzer.
Yeah. So and that's 140 feet. So I'll do one more of that. But there comes a threshold for every player when a wood style head gets too much loft. Oh
my goodness. Good out of that line.
Yeah. Well out. So for me, like the 5-wood I was getting kind of around 4,000, just over 4,000 mark spin. I can't really judge on the last one. First swing with this went about 6,000. So there we go. Yeah, and that's then really hoisted up 18. That's nearly 5,000. That's a 6-iron flight for me. So that's 140 feet. So there comes a point where you can have too much loft because it just banks up and stalls. Equally speaking, you can have too little loft and it doesn't stay in the air and comes out flat. But for me, 5-wood to 7-wood, I've got about 25 feet more height, but 1,000 revs more spin.
Yeah, very good, very good. Interesting and good question. Really nice to see that.
Yeah.
That's really super
sometimes
informative.
that height and spin is really beneficial for players.
And
we're
of
doing
course,
many more 7-woods than we ever used to.
Yeah, I mean, that outcome would be very different for me, wouldn't it? Because you're a high launcher, high spinner, do you think?
Yeah, yours would probably be where my 5-wood flight was.
Yeah, very much so. Glenn says, thank you, Stuart. We'll give that a go. Fantastic. Jams TV, how big a difference does lie angle make? I've been moving towards Stu's approach, and while my standard lie clubs feel good, my 1 degree upright ones don't.
I mean, 1 degree really isn't going to make much difference. It's something where the concept of it probably more than the reality. 1 degree is such a small amount. The variable lies you're going to get in the course are going to massively outweigh 1 degree of lie. Once you start to go to two or three, then there's going to be a noticeable difference in terms of start line and a little bit of, as you get more loft on, a little bit of gearing. So 2 upright will start to go, if you're right-handed, start to go left. 2 flat will start the ball too far right. It'll be hard to get it back on line. But for 1 degree, not a lot of difference.
John Dorensky, just on the early wrist set, I adopt this method with a strongish grip and have no problems in releasing it later. I find it a lot easier, and at 69 don't see me changing. No, it's interesting. His perception is that he releases it later. Again, a strong grip will make you think and feel like you're releasing it later, but it could be the face angle that's saving you. So there's a lot, unless you're working with TrackMan and you know what your dynamic lies and lofts are, what you can feel and think is actually happening are 2 different things. But I'm going to take your word for it, and great to have your input on that. Really appreciate that. Jonathan Barnes goes on to say on the back of the ball position, how far should I be able to hit my driver if I can carry my 5-iron 190? I don't seem to be able to carry the driver more than 230. Great content. You've helped my game greatly.
So if you're, and there are a couple of caveats to this. If your 5-iron is a 5-iron flight, because there are a lot of 5-irons that are down at 24, 23, 22 degrees, which is a 3-iron or a 4-iron loft. Then if it's a neutral spinning kind of 4,500 revs in your 15-degree launch, then it sounds like you're playing way too little loft or way too much loft in the driver, because if you're carrying a 5-iron 190, you should be carrying it 250 with your driver. But your club speed would then be high 80s in terms of for the 5-iron, pushing 90 miles an hour. So there are some ifs and buts around that, but if it's a neutral ball flight, then you're missing out on about 20 yards of carry, 20, 25 yards of carry with the driver.
Yep. Steve Darrington, hi guys, what strike issues do you typically see with iron shafts being too long? I'm 1.5 inches long, but considering cutting down to 1 inch long to help with swing weight and strike. Keep it up, fellas.
Swing weight's going to be a big issue unless you're with, Ping are probably one of the few brands you're okay with that. If the clubs are too long and heavy, then most of the time you're going to see that move towards the heel because the club gets behind and you've got to heave at it to get out of the way. You get a bit of early extension and then everything's moving towards the ball and then the old loosey locket comes into play.
Get down!
That or a kind of a flip over, just gently, fatting it. All sorts of horror shows can come from that.
Suzanne says, I'm going to bring you both some clogs, any colour preference.
Well, I mean, you know my outfit, so the louder the better.
Yes.
I'm in trouble now, aren't I?
Yeah, make sure you don't leave James out because he'll want a pair as well. He loves a clog. Is that right?
Pairs,
you
two
love
pairs.
2 pairs of clogs. Yeah. Nick Luton asks, evening gents, I missed the start, so apologies if you've covered this. Just wondered what you thought of David Skin's performance at the PGA. Not heard of him before, but he looked impressive.
Look, if you're on PGA Tour, you're darn good. And his own words, he wasn't kind of nervous or anything. He just had finally put together the performance that he knew he could. Anyone on tour is capable of shooting great numbers, and if it's your week, it's your week. Finished off today, Austin Eckroat won it, and I hope I haven't just spoiled it for someone.
Yeah, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
On another note, young lad we've worked with a few times over the years, young Robin Williams, very unfortunate to lose out in the playoff down South Africa this weekend just gone, but many congratulations to him for a great performance, and go out there and win next time.
The questions are still coming in, but listen, we are going to cover a few of those next time because we're running out of time, and we love hearing from you, but unfortunately time has beaten us today.
It's a massive compliment for sending in so many questions. So
yes,
thank you.
absolutely. And if you are going to send those questions in, do get in early because we will do our very best to answer them. 7 o'clock is a bit of a cut-off for us. That way it keeps it nice and clean and we don't get called out. I wouldn't want to offend anyone. Another great show. Great show.
Amazing amount of interaction, fabulous.
Absolutely. So we're in full swing of the new season, with regards to precision golf and the fittings. If someone is looking to come down and get fitted in the studio, how are they going to go about doing that?
So best ways, I mean, my diary is not live online because of how busy I've got. I'm looking at almost May now before an appointment. But online on the website on precisiongolf.co.uk, there's a book appointment tab on there, and that will take you to the live diary for all the other fitters. Or give the studio a call.
Brilliant, super stuff. We're always going to be here on a Monday night, 6 p.m. for the mainstay, and we're always going to answer these questions, hit the golf clubs that you want to see to be hit, and we're always going to have James on drums, even if Hollywood come calling for production. He's always going to be here.
Stuart and Gary next week?
Stuart and Gary next week. Gary Orr, lifelong member of the DP World Tour, superb player from Scotland. Stuart Robinson, our in-house chiropractor and sports rehabilitator. He's going to be in next week taking your questions and talking us through his journey with Gary and getting him fit for the PJ Seniors Tour. So that's going to be a great one. Obviously, we would want lots of abuse coming at those two.
Definitely.
Don't save it just for us. So do look out for that one next week. It's been a great evening, great show. Thank you so much. Do give us a like and a subscribe if you're new to the channel, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Thanks for watching.